say the phrase March Madness, you know what I'm talking about, yes? Yes. I would really be surprised if everyone here this morning didn't know what I was referring to. Every year, March Madness slam dunks onto the scene and into our homes, prompting all kinds of responses. And I have to confess to one and all that I am not much of a basketball fan. Sad but true. And I also have to confess that as a cleric, I have spiritual issues with March Madness. Because invariably, it intersects with the season of Lent. And, like the Cleveland Indians home opener played on Maundy Thursday, or Oberlin College's infamous drag ball scheduled for Easter Eve this year, I have very little confidence about the ability of otherwise very faithful people, when back up against the wall, to choose between Lenten programming and the final four televised games of March Madness. So, you can imagine my delight when a couple of years ago the church struck back with the introduction of Lent Madness. Have you heard of it? Have you heard of Lent Madness? No. Well, it is a wildly popular online devotion that teaches participants about holy men and holy women. It places 32 saints from across the spectrum into a single NCAA basketball-style elimination bracket. And throughout the season of Lent, participants vote in each match to decide which saint advances. Lent Madness began in 2010 as the brainchild of the Reverend Tim Schenck, who is an Episcopal priest and the rector of St. John's Church in Hingham, Massachusetts. And this year, Father Schenck partnered with the Reverend Scott Gunn, who's the executive director of Forward Movement in Cincinnati. And they created a dedicated website, www.lentmadness.org. And by doing that, they broadened the number of people involved in the selection and writing process. Eight celebrity bloggers were tapped to write for the project, including someone who is very familiar to many of us here at Christ Church, the Reverend Laura Poffer, who is in San Francisco, but who is an Oberlin College graduate. This year, over 50,000 people took part in Lent Madness. And Father Gunn said, now, those numbers might be standard for a sporting event, but it's virtually unprecedented for a Lenten activity. To give you just a hint about how this worked, another one of our own, the Right Reverend Philander Chase, first Bishop of Ohio, was pitted against Thomas Merton on February 29th. After rallying all the Kenyon College and Bexley Hall Seminary alumni, referred to as the Kenyon Mafia on the website, old Philander eked out a victory. But it was short-lived. It was short-lived as on March 16th, Philander Chase was pitted up against St. Jerome, the most famous biblical scholar in the early church, in what was termed the Battle of the Curmudgeons. Regrettably, Philander was eliminated from inclusion in the Elite Eight. But then so was Jerome a few days later, when he was matched up against Dietrich Bonhoeffer. The other saints who made it into the Faithful Four, besides Bonhoeffer, included Queen Emma of Hawaii, Margaret of Scotland, and Mary Magdalene. After a nail-biter of a contest, the final two saints to battle for the coveted golden halo were Queen Emma of Hawaii and Mary Magdalene. And after several weeks of intense voting, Mary Magdalene won the coveted 2012 golden halo in defeating Queen Emma of Hawaii. she became the first female Lent Madness winner. And while there's an awful lot of speculation and misinformation that's gone on about Mary Magdalene over the years, as I explained to the children, Scripture is clear on her presence at Jesus' tomb. The risen Christ first appeared to Mary and entrusted her with the task of telling the disciples that she had seen the Lord, earning her the honorific title, the Apostle to the Apostles. One guest celebrity blogger posted this thought about the win. While I'm generally opposed to triumphalism in any form, I'm thrilled that Mary Magdalene has won the Golden Halo. She should be admired for her love, her loyalty, her perseverance, not to mention the fact that dealing with the disciples could not have been that easy or pleasant. Well, there it is. Lent is not all gloom and doom, and this light-hearted look at the lives of the saints is actually pretty good spiritual formation. Another way in which we can engage the gospel. If such things are important to you, and I'm sure that such things are important to you, you'll be happy to know that Lent Madness 2013 starts in only 311 days.